There is an ever present statement in all of electronic design these days: functional safety matters. And one of the most important areas where this is especially true is in automotive design. Of course, we all know why that statement is true, but it's how we make that statement true that can get tricky. But what if there was a one stop shop for all of your automotive design needs? Well, there is, my friends, and we should talk about it. Hi, I'm Amelia Dalton, host of Chalk Talk. In this episode of Chalk Talk, Marcelo Williams Silva from Infineon and I explore how electrification, autonomy, and connectivity are pushing a need for low power microcontroller solutions for automotive applications. We also investigate the benefits that the Infineon PSOC 4 HVMS MCUs bring to these kinds of designs, and how you can take advantage of Infineon's robust automotive ecosystem of solutions for your next design. And before we get started, don't forget to click that link. There you can find even more information about this topic from Infineon. Hi, Marcelo. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Amelia. It's always a pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to have you. Okay, so we're talking about the new Infineon microcontrollers featuring PSOC HVMS and Vector Microsar software today. So, Marcelo, before we dig into the details, Infineon has a unique position in the industry for these kinds of semiconductor solutions, right?
Yeah, you're right. When I joined Infineon almost a decade ago, one of our main missions was to streamline Infineon microcontrollers that every single customer can use our technologies. And when I joined Infineon, we're not even on the top 10 of the mass market production customer suppliers for microcontrollers. And since last year, we are number one position, increasing our share. Last quarter was about 28% market share. Now it's 32% market share. This is a result of strong teamwork from Infineon, plus a very strong portfolio that we have discussed during our webinars, from the RX, Trovell Cluster, PSOC HVPA, and now the high voltage mixed signal with the software portion. And there will be more upcoming new devices that will support Infineon to keep the leadership on automotive microcontrollers.
Fantastic. All right. So, Marcelo, let's first talk about the mega trends in the automotive industry that are driving a need for these kinds of microcontrollers.
Yeah, today basically we have three mega trends that are driving the increase embedded content on transportation, not just automotive. It's very good always to highlight the two-wheelers, commercial agricultural vehicles, eVTOLs, and others. The major three were electrification, which is basically electrified transportation. The connectivity. Today is all about connectivity, right? And after the Cypress acquisition, we added a lot of new devices to our portfolio that support us there as well. And the autonomy, which means self-driving ADAS, steering by wire ADAS from levels 1 to 5. You see a lot of announcements right now from players in the market trying to go up to level 4 and 5. But with our devices today, you see that PSOC 4 HVMS is a small microcontroller. So they are not the brain of the electrification, connectivity, and autonomy, but they are on the edge, capturing and sensing the outside world and converting this to our main microcontrollers like RX and Trovell.
All right. So, we have a lot of different options within Infineon's microcontroller portfolio, right?
Yeah, thankfully, we're being expanding more and more our products, covering all kinds of applications today, from the automotive or transportation functional safety to the consumer and industrial. So when you go to Infineon website, you see on the top portion is the automotive functional safety devices, which is the division that I'm responsible for. And on the bottom part, you have the consumer and industrial. And then you have PSOCs, there are our smaller microcontrollers with some specific functions like multi-touch or fingerprint. And also we have the high voltage ones, that means the HV. And these ones, they can have a specific usage like the HVPA, the precision analog, for battery management systems. They're very good on that. Or they can be more general purpose like the MS, the mixed signals that we'll be talking today.
So, scalability is also an important aspect to consider with these kinds of applications, right?
Yeah. Today, one of the biggest targets from Infineon is have a smooth transition across the whole portfolio. So from the smaller microcontrollers, the Cortex M0, M23, that is the Auto PSOC, up to the Truveo, up to the Aurix, which is the tri-core version, what we are targeting most is the software scalability there. Probably most of your audience, it's very up to date and knows about our next generation microcontrollers, the Aurix RC1s. They will be RISC Core 5, the RISC-V architecture. And one of the things that we are targeting as well is to have these smooth capabilities to go from our other micros if the customer needs more performance to this new CPU. One of the questions that, Amelia, your audience will have here is like, oh, Infineon is talking a lot about RISC-V. Are they like moving all microcontrollers to RISC-V? What is the future? The answer is no. We are still launching, as you can see here, more microcontrollers on ARM platform, like the Auto PSOC, and you see more Truveos coming in the next year. We are investing on tri-core. You see that we did the NPI for Aurix TC4 in May this year, new product introduction. And we'll be doing more and more families of TC4 devices in upcoming months. So the answer for that is RISC-V will be our third pillar. And then for that, we will have ARM processors, tri-core processors, and the RISC-V as well. Going deep on the PSOC portfolio, you see on the left bottom side that we have the general purpose PSOCs, which we have for industrial consumer and automotive as well, so on dark gray. Those ones are more general purpose. They have the features from PSOC specifically, like ultra low power, the cap touch, but they are more general purpose. On the light green, you have the high voltage devices up to 42 volts tolerance, very integrated device. We'll be talking this later on this session. And you have new devices coming on these families as well in upcoming months. And on extreme right side is the next generation PSOC battery management system. Some of those families we are already sampling. So this will be targeting specifically the battery management applications. And this have even a higher voltage capability for those applications. But today, we'll be talking about HVMS, which in our point of view from Infineon is the perfect one if you want to start with a high voltage device today for a more general purpose that is not targeting only BMS, but you as well needs extended input range up to 42 volts and a good integration.
All right, so Marcelo, let's dive into the features of the PSOC 4 HVMS.
Yeah, the PSOC 4 HVMS, they have the features from the PSOC 4 family, which means next-gen cap sense. They have the functional safety up to ACUB. Upcoming devices will have a higher functional safety level. But what is nice on the HV devices is the high voltage subsystem up to 42 volts tolerance, the small footprint because you have a higher integration there. And the main topic that we'll be talking also on the second part of our session today is the automotive software that Infineon now is offering as part out of the drive core strategy as well.
So, Marcelo, talk to me about the high voltage subsystem. What all does it include?
The high voltage subsystem basically you have an integrated power supply on the device, which is a high voltage LDO up to 42 volts. What is nice from this high voltage power supply is that you still have some outputs that you can provide power to a sensor in your board. So what is very interesting about this device is the customers say, Oh, Marcelo, I have 42 volts coming to this board and I connect 12 volts or 24 volts, no matter what. I'm connecting to this board, but then I have a sensor in this board that is 3 volts. So how will power up this sensor since just the PSOC has the high voltage portion? So the answer is quite simple. You have a pin that you can provide 3.3 or 5 volts output with about 2% accuracy and up to 30 milliamps out of this pin. So yes, you can power up your board, your sensor, or whatever you have in your board out of this PSOC part. Okay, that's very unique. Plus you have the Lean-Fi. As of today, CAN is upcoming on the HV devices, and you have all the sense, especially when you have the HVPA that you need a precision analogy, you have a delta sigma converter integrated. On the MS, you have multiple ADCs and comparators. So you have a full integrated system, which will result you in a smaller PCB size.
So, speaking about that, Marcelo, let's also talk a bit more about how this solution can help lower the overall footprint of my design.
We are integrating multiple things on your PCB. And today, especially for electrification, you need less space and less weight in order to enhance your miles or your autonomy. So what is interesting is if you compare the left side with a system-based chip with the lean portion phi and the LDO, which can be a power supply, and you have the ASIC for the HMI, which includes CapSense or any kind of analog to digital converter, plus the MCU, you will have a larger PCB, which in the PSOC HVMS, you have a 6x6 device solution.
So, can we also talk about that CapSense technology included in this MCU family?
Yeah, CapSense technology for the PSOC is kind of a trademark. Why? Because former Cypress were one of the predecessors of this technology. And today we are in the 5th generation, which you can do water avoidance or avoid water detection. You can have a more precise slider, or more precise touchpad, or even liquid tolerance interface. And this is capable because of the latest and greatest generation of CapSense. There are competitors offering it, but they are not CapSense itself. They are a kind of a capacitive touch implemented by the I/O of the micro, but is not as good as CapSense technology.
So, this family of MCUs also includes a programmable analog capability as well, right? So, talk to me about that.
Yeah, the analog front ends of those micros, I mean the PSOC 4s overall, are very well known in terms of performance and programmability. So you can have up to 2 op amps, 2 comparators, and the multiplexers inside the micro, besides the 12 bits ADC up to 1 mega sample, which is quite interesting because you are also removing those discrete devices from your board, putting inside the micro, and making them programmable on fly. This makes this solution not just very compact, but also optimized for different kinds of usage, because you can put those devices in deep sleep mode, and then you can still save a lot of energy from your system.
So, Marcelo, how does the PSOC 4 HVMS family compare with other solutions on the market today?
Talking about competition is always a delicate situation, really. But what we are trying to do here is we put a comparison here to show the major competitors from Infineon on those families of PSOC 4 HVMS. But what I want to highlight, instead of finger pointing what one device have comparing to the competitor, is that Infineon today on the PSOC HVMS, it's able to check most of the boxes and be one of the best solutions offering a more compelling solution, integrated solution from the hardware perspective versus our competition. What I want to highlight, for example, is the flash range. Oh, Marcelo, but there are competitors that have a wider flash range. But you see now that the PSOC HV family is the first family that we are offering full ECC, error code correction for the flash in our smaller microcontrollers. Plus, we offer the CapSense, and then you have the system solution in terms of consumption. If you go and check, is the lowest one comparing to our competitors. So then you can say, "Oh, Marcelo, but your competitor has this. I know that he had this feature, but is he able to do low power plus this feature, or he's able to do capacitive touch, low power plus this memory feature?" So then you get what I mean. It's we are offering here a very integrated solution that can aggregate functions to our customers and then solve a lot of problems around electrification and transportation today.
So, Marcelo, I would imagine that this family of MCUs would be a great fit for applications that include smart sensor technology.
Yeah, today the ending points of the transportation applications are one of the most critical ones because sometimes you need not just one sensor, but then maybe 10, 15, 40, and then you can add a lot of cost and weight in your application. Our objective here, which the HVMS is, as we mentioned, offer integrated solution with a programmable analog portion that you can optimize this on fly, plus offer the functional safety levels that are required today for those applications. And last but not least, with one chip solution, you cannot just solve the problem with the space, but also the sourcing. So if you have a purchase department in your company and you're tired of them coming back and say like, oh, can we change this part to this one? Or can we adjust the BOM for this part or that one? Here you are unifying about 4 to 5 different part numbers inside one single micros, and then you help your sourcing department as well.
So, can we take a closer look at each of the different chips in this family?
Yeah, doing a deep dive, what I want to highlight is a thing that I mentioned before, but here for the users, they can have a better picture. So if you see on the left side, Flash has full ECC, Euro code correction, SRAM with ECC as well. Then you have the programmable analog block in the center. So you have the ADC, the comparators, and the multiplexer. You have the programmable digital subsystem, which includes the TCPWM for motor control, serial interfaces, Lean CXPI, and you have the I/O subsystem, which includes two of the smart I/Os on the top. If it's new for you, it's a portion that you can multiplex different I/Os or connect different I/Os inside the microcontroller, rerouting them to specific ports, which is a very interesting feature from the PSOCs. And you have on the bottom part the high voltage subsystem, which includes the power supply and the LinFi.
So, what does the supporting software look like for this solution?
This is the game changer for Infineon today. Not just on the PSOC, but also the Travell and the Arix. Infineon is offering the full stack of software. Infineon thinks if it's today you want to be a good player in terms of semiconductor portion, you have to be strong on software support as well. So what we are offering in the case of the PSOC is that we have three stacks running today, which is the peripheral driver library, the PDL. What is that? Is an abstraction layer for your application related to the PSOC IOs and peripherals. We offer a middleware library for CapSense, so it's a validated library for CapSense. What we have out there is customers that say like, I did my slider, but I'm not super sure that will work in a harsh environment. Don't worry, we have the library for you. And then the third one is the safety lib. What is the safety lib? Is the critical safety test for the IOs and peripherals inside the micro to make sure that you're achieving the ACB compliance. So having a device that is ACB or up to ACB doesn't mean that you're achieving ACB if you don't have the proper software. What we are offering here is that the customer, when they come to us and say, Marcelo, I need to be certified as ACB. Don't worry, we have the safety lib for you out of the shelf.
So, Marcelo, within the automotive PSOC software, how does it break down between professional licensed software and the enablement or free of charge support?
That's a very interesting question as well, Amelia, because what we see out there is a lot of offer of free of charge because there is no liability from the supplier, that they go and say like, oh, we have this software out of the shelf, you can go just and use it. But then when you have to make a product, if you have a few failures, nobody's responsible for that besides the customer. So what we separate here is we have the free of charge software, which means, oh, the customer wants to check the capabilities, wants to validate the capabilities, wants to see if that's the best product for them. They have it, they can go, they can download, they can use this on the Modus Toolbox, which is our free of charge environment, Eclipse based, or they can also use as a drive core and download the free license for 60 days and try the free of charge to professional one. But we also have the professional portion or the licensed software, which means, oh, Marcelo, I don't have time to play with the free of charge. I don't have time to validate that. I really need a solution out of the shelf that Infineon can support me. And then you can see on the left side of this column that, for example, on HVPA and HVMS, as we just mentioned, the Auto PDL, the professional driver libraries, and the safety lib you have on the left side. You have also the CapSense middleware for Auto PDL on the HVMS. You have on the multi-touch, which is our device for touch screens. You have a bunch of software available that you can work out of the shelf. Same for fingerprint reading. So the main message here is, Amelia, if the customer wants to just validate a solution, they can have the free of charge. Let's say that they want to validate the solution, but they want the bridge to work with the professional software. Infineon offers the bridge that they can have a 30 to 60 day evaluation of the licensed software, and then they can use the software later for production.
So, what kind of specific applications would the PSOC for HVMS be a good fit for?
Nowadays, as we say on transportation, functional safety matters. That's a very, I would say, famous sentence right now. In the past, people were using industrial microcontrollers to do all the transportation portion. But when you start having scooters, cars, and any kind of transportation vehicles walking in the big dense cities with people around that can hurt people, the legislation in multiple countries has changed, asking you to use automotive qualified microcontroller with some kind of functional safety level. And that's how the HVMS fits well here, because we have the ISO 26262 and the ACB requirements covered. So I put here kind of 4 different applications, the most common ones, but we can open up this to infinite possibilities. But for example, you are doing active steering wheel HMI. How you make sure that the driver is driving there and then the volume will not go up and take the attention from the driver. Same thing with passenger occupancy detection. How you make sure that your child is sitting in the back seat and then is not moving or he's not detached from the seat. So then you have the safety detection for passenger occupancy. Same for PTC heater for the water cooling for the in-cabin and also the coolant system for the IGBTs for the inverters on electrified vehicles. We have also the safe detection of liquid. So if you still have a hybrid one and you want to check if there's water mixed in your gas, we can do it this as well. Plus, you can use this to do the level measurements of the liquid related to coolant or to any kind of liquid level and sensing. So those are the 4 major ones today, but we know that there are multiple applications like front opening, tail opening, and many other different applications.
So, Marcelo, speaking of functional safety, specifically ISO 26262, it's critical for many automotive applications. So, talk to me a bit more about how this MCU deals with safety concerns.
The safety is like a kind of black magic, like we say with the RF components, the radio frequency ones. Why? The radio frequency ones, we have issues on the layout specifically, so on the hardware portion. On the functional safety one, you have with the software. So what is important on the software side of that is that just a piece of code or a manual out there will not help you. You need the integration. You need to understand how those parts on the safety portion is interfacing with other peripherals, with other parts of your application. So what we are offering here, and Infineon is well known about this documentation for ARIX, we are offering the same level of documentation for low-end devices or small micros like PSOC. So the customer can make sure that he will have access to the safety documents, how those libraries are doing the interoperability across the peripherals and the application. So what we are offering here today is a full package that supports the functional safety on a PSOC device.
So, Marcelo, can we also take a closer look at the professional software offered by Infineon for this PSOC MCU?
Yeah, what I love from the slides it's that you can visualize now all the layers of the applications that you have or all the kinds of software that you need in order to achieve what you want with the micro and certain applications. So here, because of the color coding, it's easier to see what portions of, for example, the CapSense, the Safety Lib, or the Auto PDL, or the Automotive CapSense config turner that you see on the bottom portion, what we are offering here and what you have to develop or buy from other partners if you need to. This library, it's very easy to see, for example, oh, Marcelo, I will be doing analog digital, E-square emulation, memory and communication. That's it. Oh, okay, Auto PDL has all these packages, download it and have fun. Oh, Marcelo, but I want to buy this license later to use. Okay, you can buy this license from Infineon directly, the full license, or you can have the solution as Drive Core that you can pay per part this licensing, and then you don't have to have a big check in the beginning in order to buy those licenses. So what we are offering here is not just the stack of the software, as you can see on the slide, but also multiple options that our partners and customers can buy this license without a hit their cash flow.
So, Marcelo, let's talk about Drive Core. Tell me more about that.
Drive Core is being a big thing for Infineon since we launched this at Embedded World early this year. Drive Core, it's a one-stop shop solution from Infineon that you can buy from us, not just the silicon, but also the stack solutions from us or from our partners in a click-through licensing model. Before Drive Core, either you have the free license, that's, remember, we are not liable for that, for the free license, so you can use it, you can try, but in the end you have to develop your own, or you have to buy the full license for your project, which sometimes, if you're a startup or a smaller customer, or you have a different product which is not your flagship, it's not interesting, oh, I'll buy a six-figure license for a small product. What is the point? Because that will break my cash flow. So Drive Core came to offer our customers that they can pay a license per device, which is a completely different business model. So you have an added value on the device, and then you buy all this licensing from Infineon. So first capability from Drive Core, which is a game changer. You can go and instead of you have to buy a compiler and then a stack and then a license and then this from multiple suppliers, what you can do is you're downloading everything from Infineon. You buy that specific part number that has a different coding because it contains all your licensing. And then as soon as you buy the part, you're already paying for the license. You don't have to pay multiple suppliers. You don't have to have NDA with multiple suppliers, which makes your life much easier. So What Infineon did right now is we license these packages. We have our ecosystem right now with about 9 to 10 partners, and we have different flavors that we are offering, or they call it bundles, but I like to say more flavors to our customers. But we are expanding this a lot. We started with 9 to 10 partners. We have a full roadmap for the next 18 months that we're expanding this with different users. So today, the 5 basic packages available is 3 for RX. So the first one with drive core for AutoSAR, basic package if you want to do an automotive application with RX. Then we have drive core AI, especially if you're using a TC4 devices with the PPU, the parallel processing units. That's the way to go. We have a third license with the drive core for NewSAR. For the one that doesn't know, NewSAR is an AutoSAR for Chinese operational vehicles and systems. So it's specifically for China, and we do support this for RX as well. Then we have an option for the PSOC drive core control, is the one that we are mentioned today. And then we go deeper talking about what Platform IO and Vector are adding on this stack together with the IR compiler. And we have an option with the Travell drive core graphics. You remember, Amelia, we did our previous seminar about that, which we mentioned about the Travell cluster plus the QT. Today, they are part of the drive core and is one of our biggest seller.
Okay. So, Marcelo, give me some more specifics about the PSOC drive core control.
Yeah, it runs on IR compiler and debugger. We have the Platform IO tooling licensed and combined with the Vector Microsar. And we have the application layers included, plus the Auto PDL, the CapSense, and the Safety Lib. Here you have the full environment to develop your transportation application. Doesn't matter if it's automotive, LEV, commercial, agricultural, or industrial. You have your full environment here today to develop everything that you need and be compliant with applications like AutoSAR. What is good to highlight is that, as you see here, was released on July this year. And we have all the evaluation license out there and the professional ones, which will be able to license together with the device, will be available now in October. But if you are starting developing today, you can go to Infineon website, drive core portion, you can download this and start working today.
Excellent. Okay, so Marcelo, can we also talk about the software offering that goes along with the PSOC drive core control?
Yeah, that's the ice of the cake here. I mean, that's the main point of our conversation is what we are offering this slide today. The Microsar IO is a ultralight like AutoSAR application that runs on small microcontrollers. What it means? Nowadays, more and more of our customers and partners are approaching us and say, Marcelo, I used to do seat controllers or lighting controllers or HVAC controllers. That's my company expertise. Now the OEMs or the tier ones, they are coming to me and say, oh, you must be AutoSAR compliant or runs a kind of MCall that you can talk with the whole vehicle. And they said, we are desperate because we never did that. That's not our expertise. We do wipers, seat controllers, mirror controlling, HVAC. That's not our expertise. How we can get started here? So for that, we close a partnership with Vector, which you are offering this software included on the PSOC HV offering for the drive core control. And for the one that knows Vector pretty well, they know that is not cheaper solution available in the market. They are very capable, they are very solid, but they are not cheap. Our objective here was to make the Vector license more accessible to our customers and keep the state of the art in terms of operational system or lightweight operational basic software system. I cannot call it operational system because it's a Cortex-M. We don't have MMU. But it is a shrinked AutoSAR/MCall that will make your device companion to what the OEMs are doing when they required AutoSAR or MCall compatibility. So what our customers got crazy and very positive about this is that today they can download what you see here in the picture, the Microsar IO plus the link, plus the bootloader, plus the CapSense, the SafetyLib and the AutoPDL, and they can develop and extract the most out of the silicon with this stack, which is the state of the art for that.
So, Marcelo, what do you think are the biggest benefits of Vector's Microsar IO development workflow?
Yeah, number one is integration. Okay, it's very integrated with IR compiler today. Questions that I get all the time, Marcelo, the drive core in this package is using this compiler. Can I change the compiler by myself? The answer is you can, but then you are not certified anymore. So the best way to keep the certification under the stacks is using the compiler that is included in this package. But the point is the vector, it's very well attached to the IR compiler here, plus with the platform IO framework that connects to that. So it becomes very easy to do the configuration, the project setup, and to run your application on that. So that's why we decided to start on the PSOC package to have this combination of IR, vector, and platform IO. We had customers that we presented this about 2-3 months ago, and they already have prototypes running in the field. So the time to market here is very quick and is very intuitive. Remember that you'll be having support from Infineon, Vector IR, and Platform IO inside Drive Core. So you have 4 strong companies behind this project.
That's fantastic. So, circling back to drive core control, what do you think are the biggest benefits here?
What I like from this slides is that we have a summary of what we are offering today for the PSOC. Oh, Marcelo, you spend a lot of time on this webinar talking about the Vector Microsar and this application, but let's say that I want to have something more targeting the CapSense or targeting just the ACUB, the Spider Bugger trace with IR. We offer those solutions. All the lines here, you have the documentation, the FAQ, and things that you can go over it. But what I like to talk more about the Vector Microsar here is that it's a game changer. It's a game changer to the point that even the OEMs and the big players in the market came to congratulate Infineon to do this, because then we are making professional solutions more and more popular and open up a market that they never was able to see before.
This family of MCUs also includes support from a variety of different partners, right?
Yeah, people come and say like, "Oh, Marcelo, you spoke about IR, but I'm using ARM Kyo or a different compiler. Can I switch to this?" If you are not on the drive core, those other compilers will be playing a key role in drive core in upcoming packages. But you also have other suppliers and other players. ARM Kyo, we expand our CMCs packages with them. We'll have a big announcement by now, end of September, about it. Stay tuned for that. But you still have Tesking, ARM, IR, Green Hills, and many other different compilers that still work with PSOC devices. Trovell and Arix as well, that we can offer support, not today on the drive core capabilities, but also working with them as a professional tooling.
All right, so Marcelo, can we also discuss some examples of this PSOC MCU in real life applications?
I have a few applications. I think it's very interesting for people to realize why HVMS are interesting. So we have the heating elements in the vehicle. Today they are produced in mass production with HV devices, but they need higher integration of the devices. They also need all the automotive capabilities. So one of our best-selling applications is the occupant detection plus hands-on detection with the heating elements. So you see integrated functions in one micro, perfect fit for HVMS. Another application that you can see now is the diagram block of the HVMS solution. So you see is a very integrated device that you just need to sensing and the power and the bus in order to work with steering wheel hands-on detection. You also have the Automotive HMI solution. So if you need sliders, lighting control, perfect application for HVMS. If you can eliminate mechanical parts of the cars today, you are increasing your warranty and you are avoiding some components to break on that. So the smart sensor for liquid level sensing, it's one of our bestseller applications today, especially for the EVs. People are buying EVs thinking that they are buying cell phones that needs zero maintenance. And in fact, what keeps a EV alive is the liquid cooling for the battery, for the brakes, for the heating. And if you have a leakage and you don't realize this, you can trash the vehicle if in case of overheating. So the smart sensor for liquid level, it's one of our flagship applications today because people can make sure that they are having a very precise measurement. And in case something happens, the sensor can take the decision and communicate to the vehicle like you have to stop the car now, otherwise you have to trash it. That's why the liquid level sensing is one of the key ones. And as you know, very integrated solution as well.
So, Marcelo, if my audience is ready to get started, what kind of hardware and software tools does Infineon offer to help them?
Yeah, as any other microcontroller from our families, we strongly recommend you to go to the light kits. Light kits are a common platform where you have Arduino, microelectronic bus expansion, you have the Infineon to go sensors. So it's a common footprint, or we call it a blueprint inside Infineon, that you have the same layout of an RX or a Trovell, so it's easier for you to migrate from one micro to the other. Plus, you can connect this with our Modus 2 box, which is the free of charge solution. Plus, with all the drive core solutions that we mentioned before. For that, we have today for the HVMS, we have two versions of the kit. We have the PSOC HVMS 64K of flashlight kit, and we have the 128K of flashlight kit. And as you can see, they have exactly the same footprint, just changing the micro. And in this light kit, you also have the 42 volts capability on the bottom side that you can connect straight from the battery. Also, our partnership and ecosystem is not limited to what we show at Drive Core or just the compilers. We have a huge extension of our ecosystem here, as you can see in the picture, and each one of the players here can support EU on the PSOC, Trovell, or Auric solution.
So, Marcelo, what about supporting documentation?
This for us was also a game changer. I don't know if people have used this before, but I strongly recommend you to use it. So you can type digital documentation on any searching tool you want, or even directly on Infineon website. And then you see that we have one source of information related to kits, erratas, data sheets, a user manual, and even application. So here in the example, I'm using RX, but as you can see on the left side, we have all the PSOCs and Trovells as well, plus other products from Infineon. You just go there, you click, and then you have all the information in one source, not PDF, is XML, so you can make those documentations also searchable if you are using any kind of AI tool. So it's very easy to use and get access to documentation from PSOC, Trovell, RX, or any other device from Infineon.
So, Marcelo, walk me through the first steps my audience should take when getting started with the PSOC 4 HV.
All the software from our microcontrollers are inside what we call an Infineon Development Center. So you see here, there are several links, shortcuts to Infineon Development Center. But what is nice, and this was also a creation from our team in the past 2 or 3 years, that we have the Infineon Development Center as one source for our software. And once you get registered for it, if we launch any kind of updated library or updated tool, you get notice like you get an email or you get a hint from the tool telling you there is something newer available, go there and download it. So it's a way that you keep yourself always updated instead of, oh, I have to check, I have to go to the website and see if there's something new again. No, the Infineon Development Center will let you know.
So, Marcelo, we should also talk about the Modus toolbox as well, right?
Yeah, the Models 2 box is the flagship solution from Infineon for free of charge. So it supports not just PSOC, Trovell, but also our industrial and consumer devices like PSOC 6, PSOC Edge. So if you want to have a full experience of a free of charge tool, Eclipse based, Models 2 box is the way to go. And we support all devices that we mentioned.
So, Marcelo, what other supporting assets does Infineon offer to help my audience on their way?
Yeah, most of the questions, Amelia, and we are very thankful for that, is, oh, Infineon has so many different products. How I pick up the right one, you know? So we offer in our website, by the way, we launched a new website about 1.5 months ago. So if you haven't visited, please check it out. It's much easier to use than the previous one. But we offer there the selection guide, which is a dynamic table that you can go and select which devices you want. We have the microcontroller pocket guide, which I strongly recommend you guys to download. It's a brochure that has up to 80 pages and very interactive as well, that you can see products, applications, ecosystem, boards, and everything available there. It's completely updated since May this year as well. We have the product application table, selection table in our website. We have some other collaterals that we support you to select not just the micro, but also what is around the micro. Remember that Infineon has power supply, all the power portions with MOSFETs, Coolzik. With the acquisition of Marvell, now we have PHYs and switches, you know, and then we have memory, we have sensors. So the other collateral material here will also help you to select other devices besides the micro and to show you that more and more and more Infineon is a one-stop shop player in the market.
All right. So, Marcelo, if my audience wants even more information, where would you suggest going?
I would suggest Infineon or Marcelo, or my name Marcelo Williams on LinkedIn. Everything that we are doing, including our Shock Talks, Amelia, we're posting in LinkedIn, and we have a very nice audience there that we tried as much as we can to keep our partners and customers updated. But also we offer newsletters and our website for that. For technical supports, please use a tool called MyCase. It's a very good tool that you can trace how it's your question. It's completely private ones. It's not public. It's not a forum. So if you haven't used it, go and check it out. We also offer many hours of e-learnings around our micros. Since out-of-the-box experience that we just launched 2 months ago, the Trovell one, but we are doing more and more out of the box, plus the videos. We have our own avatar at Infineon that explains how to use the micros or how to extract the most of the micro capabilities. And if you still, after that, have any question, you have my email here, marcelo.williams@infineon.com, and I'll be glad to help you out.
Excellent. Well, Marcelo, I think that's all I have time for today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure, Amelia. Have a good week.
And before we go, you didn't forget to click that link, did you? There you can find even more information about this topic from Infineon. For Chalk Talks, I'm Amelia Dalton from eejournal.com. For more Chalk Talks, head on over to the Chalk Talk section of EE Journal. You can't miss it, it's right across the top. Or go on over to YouTube, youtube.com/EE Journal.